Hello world, Morgan Harper Nichols here, and this is day 15 of 366 days of vlogging. So the past few days, I actually haven't been doing any real videos. These past few days have just been kind of crazy, so I was just kind of turning on my phone like, hey, look, here's what I'm doing for a few minutes, and that was the day's vlog. But today I'm going to be talking about something that's a huge part of my life and likely a part of your life as well, and that is social media. So here are the things that I like and the things that I don't like about the main social media sites that I use, and most likely they are the sites that you probably use as well. And the first one is Facebook. So the thing that I like about Facebook is, one, it it's kind of hard because that's actually not like my favorite site exactly. But I do like Facebook groups. I'm just going to be really specific. I love it because it reminds me of a forum, and I used to be really into forums when I was in high school. I was a part of like all of these young writers forums, and we would write poems and short stories and stuff like that. And that's kind of what the Facebook groups remind me of. So that when I go on Facebook, I'm most likely going to go read something in a group that I'm following about hair or makeup or where I live, or I even have a few groups of my own. So yeah, that's my favorite part about Facebook. My least favorite part about Facebook, I'm just going to be blunt about it, is the arguing back and forth. I feel like on any post, it doesn't matter if it's a video of somebody finding their kitten after it's been missing for a week. There's going to be some debate going on in the comment section of that video, and it stresses me out. I'm always telling myself, like, don't click on it because you know there's going to be a debate happening down there. And then I click on it and I'm like, why are people debating about this? This is foolishness. So yeah, that's one thing that really bothers me about Facebook. But you know, there are bigger issues out there, and there are some people who really enjoy that, but that's just not for me. The next one is Twitter. What I like about Twitter is that it is short and to the point, and I feel like a lot of people don't really use Facebook as much as they used to. I'm sorry, Twitter as much as they used to, but I actually still kind of like it. It's a great way for me to follow different news sites and news blogs. That's kind of mostly what I follow on Twitter, but I do like that. I mean, I feel like current events on Twitter, you're going to get them faster on Twitter than you're going to get them anywhere else. So I do like that. Like, it's like if you're watching like a presidential debate, or if you're watching an award show, like you can follow live tweets from the actual accounts or different famous people. So I love that about Twitter. But the thing that I don't like about Twitter is the same thing I don't like about Facebook. Is the arguing back and forth. Like, people just go on and on for hours and days and weeks and years arguing with strangers on the internet. And I know that just comes with life, and it comes with life on the internet, but that's just something I am not really a fan of. And I steer away from that. I'm not a fan of that. The next social media site that I use probably the most is Instagram. So I love Instagram, and the reason why I love Instagram is because it's simple, it's to the point. The pictures up until recently, they were just nice little square pictures. You just upload a picture, upload a caption if you want to upload a caption, and there you go. You follow people, they can follow you. That's pretty much Instagram, and I love it for that reason. It moves really fast. And I got on Instagram pretty early. I mean, I don't know I can't remember when Instagram was started, but I remember being like one of the original users, and I was kind of all about that. I probably love Instagram because for a brief period of my life, I was a photographer. So I did that for kind of on and off of my college years. I did some weddings, I did some engagement shoots, some modeling headshots and different things like that. And a lot of artistic stuff as well. Like, I sold some art prints of mine on Etsy back in the day. When I lived in England, when I studied abroad, I actually just remember this. My artwork was a part of like this sort of like art swap thing, and I just live for that stuff. Like, I love photos, so that's probably why I love Instagram so much. And the reason why I don't like Instagram, I would say that it's probably just because Instagram, like many other social media sites, it's a great place to be inspired, but it's also a great place to compare yourself to other people and to constantly feel like you have to be in competition. And, you know, I would be lying if I sat here and said that I've never ever looked at what someone else had and said, oh, I wish I had that. Like, I am very content with where God has me in my life. And still, sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, like my picture looks like this, but theirs looks better because they have this, and that. So for some reason, I feel like that's a huge thing on Instagram, like all social media sites. But people are all about posting their absolute best photos and the best moments of their experiences in life on Instagram. So I feel like that can be very harmful, and you have to be very careful with, you know, even the kind of people that you follow, and that you don't start to envy them or feel jealous or feel like you have to constantly, you know, do different things to keep up with them. So the next one that I'm a part of that I really enjoy is Pinterest. I love Pinterest. That was another site where I was super early getting onto it. And I was a little sad because Pinterest came around about a year after I got married, so I didn't get the whole experience of like pinning your whole wedding down. But that's okay. I'm all right with that. But I kind of have a long story about why I love Pinterest so much, and I'll get into that later. But Pinterest was actually very influential in one of my blogs. It happens to be my most successful blog. I have a women's ministry / blog called Quiet Women Co. And right now on Instagram, I think we have like 56,000 followers. And a lot of that is credited to Pinterest, because what I was doing was I was taking different parts of my posts. I post my whole blog post on Instagram, and I was putting them on Pinterest. And for some reason, people just really love seeing it that way on Pinterest. So I was getting all of these people who would click on the source, and the source was my Instagram. I did similar things with Facebook and Tumblr. I tried it that way. But yeah, in short, Pinterest has been really great for me in a professional sense, but it's also just really fun to look at. You can find some really cool things on there, obviously. And the last one, I think I got two more. The next one is Snapchat. So it took me a while to get with Snapchat. I was not a fan at first, and the reason why is just because it just seemed kind of sketchy. Just the concept of somebody saying, oh, I'm going to send you a picture, and that picture is going to be deleted in 24 hours. Like, I was just kind of like, I'm not really sending anything to anybody on the internet that I want deleted in 24 hours. So I was like, that's just not for me at all. So for the whole first wave of Snapchat users, I was just like, no, I'm not going to get an account. Not interested in that at all. But I actually did get an account eventually. And the one thing I do like about it is I love how fast the app moves. I mean, it is incredible how quickly the Snapchat app moves, and you can just go through people's posts like that. You know, I'm doing like this. That means I'm like tapping on my phone. But you can just go through people's posts relatively quickly and just kind of get to the point. You don't have to worry about commenting or liking. You can just kind of look at it and then go. So I do like that about Snapchat. I mean, it's really cool to do candid things and be silly. What I don't like about Snapchat, I kind of already said, I just don't, the whole concept of just, oh, you know, my pictures are being gone in 24 hours, so I'm just going to post whatever I want. Thankfully, I've never been on the receiving end of any crazy photos, but I've heard some stories, and I'm just like, I don't want anything to do with that. But I think that overall Snapchat does have potential, and I think it is a great app. And I do use it occasionally, but not as near as much as I use everything else. So the next one and last one is Tumblr. So Tumblr is kind of an old site, meaning, I mean, it's been out for a while. I don't know when it was invented, but it's definitely more like a blogging platform probably than it's a social media site. But a lot of people, I mean, they do have a really responsive app that's great. So a lot of people use it as a social media platform. And one thing I love about Tumblr is the women's blog that I was talking about. I have a Tumblr account on there. And one thing I love about it is that I've gotten some of the most sincerest a word? I should know that. I went to school for English. But anyway, I've gotten some of the most sincere messages from people just all over the world, like, hey, I thank you so much for sharing this encouraging post. Like, I see this is a blog for Christian women, but I'm not even a Christian, but I'm really interested in what you're saying. You know, how can I find out more? And I don't know why it's happened that way, but it's just been that way since the beginning. And I've loved Tumblr for that reason. I've just gotten the opportunity to message some really cool ladies and girls around the world who have different questions and are seeking advice in different areas. So I love Tumblr for that. The reason why I don't like Tumblr, I'm kind of indifferent. I mean, it's just like, it's a blogging platform. I mean, I don't really spend, I don't think, enough time on it to really not like it. So yeah, kudos to Tumblr. Oh, and one more, I lied. Periscope. So the wonders of Periscope. I really like Periscope. I love the fact that you can do instant live stream videos. When the app first came out, I think I was doing at least 1 or 2 a week, and now it's been like 6 or 7 weeks since I've done one. I love Periscope. I already explained why I like it, but the reason why I don't like it is just because, you know, when things are live, sometimes things go wrong and the app will shut off, or sometimes when, you know, people just log on and just say the craziest, most irrelevant things that have nothing to do with the topic at hand. I've had to like block like 5 people on Periscope just because they were just being really inappropriate, and they were just being trolls and not having anything to do with what I'm talking about. And here I am singing a worship song and playing guitar, and people are just like saying all sorts of foolishness in the comments. And it's just like, I don't have time for that. I'm getting old. I don't have time to argue back and forth with these people. It's just, you know, please get out of here. But Periscope, for the most part, I really do like it. No real serious complaints about it. And overall, I just think social media is something that's become a huge part of many of our lives. And like all things, you just have to be careful, and you have to find that balance. And one thing I try to do regularly is constantly ask myself, like, what would I do right now? Like, would I be okay right now if, for whatever reason, the entire internet just shut down and I didn't have access to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? Like, would I be okay? Like, would I be able to live my life? And if I ever get to a point where I'm like, oh no, I really need this or I really need that, then I start, you know, trying to take time away from those things. Because, you know, truth is, as resourceful as the internet is and how great it is to be able to have phones that we can always have with us, that we can constantly check our email and check messages, you know, we're also living out here, and we have to be mindful of that. At least that's what I've learned for myself. So those are the things that I do and don't like about social media, and I hope that was a good video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.